Sorry, the National Peace Council chairman, the Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante, is unhappy about the police failure to deal with increasing cases of political vigilantism in the country, despite the president's directives prompting them to do so. The Reverend Professor Asante says partisan political vigilante groups are not above the law and must therefore be dealt with. He was speaking at the third edition of the Accra Dialogue series, themed "The Scars of Vigilantism, a Legal or Political Question."
The President and the Minister of Interior have charged the police to crack the whip. All these have fallen into deaf ears. The police have a mandate to prevent and detect crime, to apprehend offenders, and maintain public order. Theirs is to ensure public safety and protection of private and public property, and the police do not need a charge or a directive from the President or the Minister of Interior to carry out their mandate. The big question is, why are the police hesitating to carry out their mandate? Is the fear the police? Is the fear the political fallout that they might encounter when they crack the whip on these vigilantes? If there is such fear, what informs and defines it? Is it because we cannot draw the line between legal political activities and criminal acts by political activists? Legal political activities and criminal acts by political activists. Is it because we cannot draw that distinction? My humble submission is vigilantism is both political and legal issue. It is political in the sense that the groups are patronized by legal political parties. I use the word legal deliberately. As political activists, they serve as political activists under political patronage, and as political activists operating under the patronage and auspices of political parties, they are defined and informed by the supreme law of the land. They cannot operate above or on the fringes of the law, because the political parties themselves are under the law.
Meanwhile, former Chief of Defense Staff, Brigadier General Joseph Nunu Mensa, is blaming political leadership for failing to call their followers to order. He says no one is willing to deal with the matter of vigilantism as political party leaders continue to shift the responsibility to the police. He wants the security forces to have the courage to crack the whip.
The fact that these young people cannot find gainful employment does not mean that they can resort to political violence to attain their economic objectives. That is not acceptable in a civilized democratic society. And whoever does that must not escape punishment. Unfortunately, no one in Ghana today is prepared to deal with this problem. Politicians are pushing the problem to the law enforcement agencies, asking the police and the courts to deal with the matter, while they in turn say that their hands are tied up. Who tied up their hands? Political parties must do all they can to restrain their followers from these criminal acts, while the police and the courts must have the courage to do their professional work and deal with those who go against the law.
First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo says her next project after the completion of the mother and baby unit at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital will be the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra. Mrs. Akufo-Addo, who is currently in China to explore investment opportunities for Ghanaian businesses, told staff of the Ghana High Commission in Beijing that the baby units at the hospital in Kumasi will be commissioned in December.
Everyone has to come on board. It's not just the government. We all have to do our bit. I have started a foundation called the Rebecca Foundation which is about empowering women and helping children also change their lives. There's so much that we can help women to do, and I'm doing my bit in doing that. But for now, I'm helping build a mother and baby unit at the Komfo Enochi Hospital. We started in July, and we're nearly finished. I think it's December we shall commission that mother and baby unit, which would help save our mothers and babies from dying. There's present units at Komfo Enochi is too small, and so mothers go and they suffer waiting to have babies, and they die. And so the children also, some of the babies die. This is why I'm helping build this unit. And from there, I go to Kolebu as well. So now it looks like I'm taking care of the health of women and children. And I ask for your support in doing this. I know you're all working hard here. You can send me some of your hard-earned cash to help do this.
Petitioners seeking the creation of a new region out of the Volta region say the move is particularly crucial for the development of the area, which has been sidelined for far too long. To ensure their petition is successful, some chiefs and residents from the northern part of the region have formed a joint consultative committee to present arguments to the 9-member commission set up by government. Its secretary, Kweku Adia, says they can no longer tolerate the neglect suffered over the years. There is more in the following report.
Seeking to be a region on its own, used to be part of the northern region before Ghana became independent in 1957. It was during the carving out of the Upper West and Upper East regions that it was added to the Volta region. The chiefs, supported by some of the prominent residents of towns in that part of the region, namely Kwasa, Kajebi, Buem, Kratin Chomro, Jasekan, are the ones pushing for the creation of the new region. Their main arguments, according to Secretary of the Joint Consultative Committee on the proposed OT region, Kweku Adia, is that development has eluded them for far too long.
Of cocoa production in the area from colonial times to date, and you go to see that there is nothing there, you weep from our people. You weep. You weep. So basically, when we say we want development, we want jobs, we want our people also to be placed in good positions. You know, when you hold good positions, top positions, you have influence, and you can help the young ones, the youth. If you don't have people from there, how do you do it? We are not dealing in hypotheses. We are dealing with facts. What all that we are saying is speculation. What is the evidence? It is only for one reason. The place has been left undeveloped. It contains population of over 700,000, substantial number, and they are not developed. They are not getting, you know, like the examples I've mentioned. So many examples, you see. And normally, it comes to a time you can say we will not bear it again. You see, we are not a violent type. That is why we want to go the constitutional and legal means.
Chairman of the Commission, Justice Stephen Alan Brobe, urged all petitioners to let the supreme interest of Ghana inform their pursuit.
This is the first time that the provisions of Article 5 of the 1992 Constitution on the creation or alteration of a region have been invoked. There is therefore a duty on all of us to ensure that we chart a course that is ultimately in the best interest of our people.
Petitioners from the Bunahafo region are expected to appear before the Commission on Thursday.
A lecturer with the School of Business and Law at the WA campus of the University for Development Studies, Dr. Wolefan Kwame Joseph, has suggested that for government flagship free SHS program to succeed, funds have to be released early enough to the schools. He says this will also help authorities at these schools to properly plan and also initiate the procurement processes needed for certain needs of the school. Dr. Wulifan gave the suggestion at the Upper West Regional Conference of the National Association of Graduate Teachers in WA.
The Regional Delegates Conference of the Upper West Branch of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, was attended by all zonal coordinators of the association in the region. It was held on the theme, the exigencies of the implementation of the free HSS policy, the role of the teacher. Guest speaker for the conference and lecturer at the School of Business and Law of the WA campus of the University for Development Studies, Dr. Wulifan Kwame Joseph, stated that for the free HSS policy to succeed, there are some key areas that need to be looked at. One of the areas he penciled is the early and timely release of funds to the various schools before they are reopened.
Free education needs further allocation of funds for infrastructure. Governments need to strive to ensure that free education funds are in school accounts well before the term starts to enable proper planning and procurement processes. A research information available from sub-Saharan Africa shows that free secondary education has led to increased enrollment, resulting in overstretching of facilities and inadequacy of teaching staff. This may compromise the quality of learning for the students in the schools. There is a tendency for heads of schools to reallocate money to critical areas which may run at variance with policy decisions.
Dr. Wulifan noted that for the policy to succeed, the support and cooperation of parents is also key.
The feeling that the government provides free education has led to unwillingness of parents to make any payment to schools. According to a research by Clonzo in 2007, 92% of parents were not ready and willing to pay any levies to school since education was free. They claim that once education was free, even after the secondary level, they were not prepared to pay any fees. So parents should take note. Even with good and timely funding, enrollment and retention may be limited by socio-economic factors in the environment. A study by Woyongo in 2004 found out that school dropouts were still there despite the introduction of free education. According to the study, some of the factors causing the dropouts included early marriage, pregnancy, which is also free, domestic duties, negligence of parents, and peer pressure, that is lack of interest.
Upper West Regional Minister Alhaji Suleiman Al-Hassan, in a speech read on his behalf by his deputy Amir Chinia Isaku, considered that the implementation of the free HSS policy is fraught with challenges, but was quick to add that plans are far afoot to fixing them.
Indeed, government recognizes that the success of this policy hinges on the ability to attract and retain the best brains into the teaching profession. Hence, the MPP government will restore to our teachers the honor and respect they deserve as the source of enlightenment at all levels of society, and ensure that teaching becomes a profession of choice for all ambitious youth.
Upper West Regional Chairman of NAGRAT, Pius Larry Azuma, reminded the government to quickly work on the many unresolved issues they have with them, or they will soon rise up against them.
It is well known that we have a lot of unresolved issues with government in areas as arrears in different shades, maintenance allowance, incremental credits, and the rest of it. Comrades, we must stop at nothing to get our due. Government should be assured that NAGRAT will not retard to fate relative to these unresolved grievances. Comrades, please and please again, let us rise up when the time offers itself, and I believe not distant from now, so we can be heard and be given our due.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam. Wow.
And before we go, a renowned Ghanaian scientist and inventor is suggesting the introduction of high-speed trains as part of the country's development agenda. Dr. Thomas Mensa says such an initiative alongside industrial drive will accelerate national growth. He was speaking at the 10th RP Balfour Memorial Lecture of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And we had Love FM's Kwesi Debra there, and he reports.
As government rolls out its flagship programs like One District, One Factory, easy movement of goods and services will always come up. According to Dr. Mensa, high-speed train and aviation maintenance facilities equipped with fiber optics are critical for job creation.
Well, I've talked to the president, and the fact that he has the ideas to create a factory for every district, that's a very, very good goal to have. I'm just showing in my presentation how to achieve those goals, how to achieve it. You know, you say one thing, we're going to have a factory in every district. The best way to achieve it is building a high-speed train, because high-speed train goes over 80% of the traffic, the districts. 80%. So we can create the factories, like I said in my Balfour lecture series. We can create the industries along those high-speed rail line. Those industries can employ people all the way from Takoradi to Kumasi to Tamale. We can create probably 1 million jobs. Right.
The RP Balfour Memorial Lecture was instituted in 1977 by the University of Science and Technology Council. It recognizes and honors first Ghanaian Vice-Chancellor RP Balfour for his sound leadership and immense contribution to the university's growth. Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Debra.